The mysterious death of a woman in northeast Kansas. She was murdered in the late 80s, and investigators now face the challenge of not only finding her killer, but also finding out who she is. Now, I've been investigating this case for months, tracking down the man who found that woman's body.
You could smell a dead animal in the area, when a cow or something dies. Of course, never thought anything about it, just dead critter.
Jeff Colley was preparing for another hunting trip just north of I-70 in Dickinson County back in October of 1987 when he stumbled upon a murder scene.
Just happened to be at the right spot at the wrong time, apparently, and seen the body laying there, which at the time it was just bones and clothing is what it was.
32 years later, standing yards away from that same spot, he's still struggling to understand.
It was strange finding it. I mean, it's just something you don't expect.
Right.
It's out in here, little town Kansas, something really out of the ordinary.
It wasn't only out of the ordinary, but a true mystery. A woman shot and killed. But who was she? After pressing for a closer look at what happened, the Dickinson County Sheriff's Office released these images of the scene to me. Clues have taken detectives across the country. We know that a plastic bag was found near her body. It traces back to a grocery store in Bakersfield, California. For years, the only evidence police would share with the public was this, the maroon t-shirt she was wearing. It reads, "Astronaut Cross Country. We believe in state championships 1980. It's from a high school in Titusville, Florida. Police from that area tell me no missing people match her description. I've even worked with the high school from the t-shirt, getting the cross-country team roster and going through members one by one. Nobody knows Jane Doe. She's a black woman, believed to have been in her 40s or 50s, 5'2" to 5'5". She was wearing Sugar Baby's tennis shoes and jalapeno denim jeans. Brands that I found were likely sold at department stores.
We've gotten some tips over the years on possible matches. We followed up on them and they all kind of led to a dead end, so we really haven't had any luck in identifying her.
Captain Jerry Davis taking me back to where she was found. Though it's a field of crops now, back then it was a popular place to hunt, but a place you would likely only go to if you knew it well. For someone to come out here, you think they might be a little bit more familiar with the area, maybe?
They could be. I mean, it could be somebody just happened off the interstate and drove some winding roads back to get up in here.
It's not something that you would think somebody from I-70 would just haul somebody up here, because this area is just kind of off the beaten path, really.
Do you think with all the time that's passed, there's any hope of figuring out who this Jane Doe is?
Oh yeah, I don't give up hope. There's always a possibility.
Possibility to getting closer to finally learning her name and finding her killer.
Well, I think it's a valiant effort on their part to do it, to try to get all the pieces put together to, figure out who she was, where she lived, She belonged somebody somewhere, yeah. And I'm sure they're probably wondering what happened.
So when I reached out to investigators this April, they told me, we have this one picture. That's all we have. That's all we can give you. And I was like, are you sure? Is there more that you can release to me? And eventually they phased in those photographs that we shared right there. We have all of them up on cake.com right now. They have told me to not share all the information that we exchanged in our conversations over the past months because they're thinking that some of that information may help convict her killer should they find out who that person is, but they have to, of course, find out who she is. But in the meantime, they have had some tips. We've had tips actually come since we first shared this story with you, and I'm going to be following up with the county to see if we can help figure out this mystery and find this woman's family. But Jane Doe's body is buried at the Abilene Cemetery. The county attorney is raising money to get a headstone for her and another unidentified person, a man who was also killed in the county. Separate case about a decade before. You can see details on everything right there on cake.com.